Hello everyone, very good morning. Welcome to Textbook Super Coaching for regulatory bodies, and in this session we are going to discuss about some important news, especially from the banking, finance and the economics background, which is important for our exam, which will be crucial for our exam. So we are going to focus on such kind of news. We are going to focus on such kind of articles from the newspaper. So once again, very good morning to each one of you. I'll start with the session. I'll start with the today's lecture. Before going to start, if you are yet to subscribe our channel, so please एक बार channel को subscribe कर दीजिएगा. So do subscribe and click the bell icon. Other than that, we have the RBI Grade B Laksha batch, which is the foundation batch through which you can get enrolled into your next year's preparation, and from the basics till the advanced, this preparation is going to help you. So our faculty team for the pre as well as mains as well as interview, they are going to help you a lot to clear this exam. So don't forget to get enrolled into this particular batch. Really very important, really very crucial. Again, already the batch is being started, where we are focusing on the phase 1, phase 2 as well as on the interview section. To get enrolled into this batch, you can get the offer on a subscription. So you can use the coupon codes. PVSH is one of the coupon code which you can use, where you are going to get the discount. So we'll start with the session. We are going to discuss important current affair events focusing on economics, finance and the banking section. So I'll start with that. So last 2 days, what the important news were there in regarding the Indian economy. So the one of the most important thing which we need to cover about, that is IBBI to celebrate its 88th annual day. 8th annual day, Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India. We are talking about the Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India. We are having one law called as the Insolvency Bankruptcy Code. In 2016, we created this law called as the Insolvency Bankruptcy Code. So under this Insolvency Bankruptcy Code, we are focusing on all the insolvency and bankruptcy process in our country, so that all the cases should get resolved in certain time frame. So within less than 1 year time frame, we are trying to solve these cases. To implement this scenario, to implement this kind of system, we created one law in 2016, Insolvency Bankruptcy Code. This law, or the whole process of insolvency or the bankruptcy, is regulated by one authority called as the Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India, which was created or which was formed on the 1st of October 2016. So on 1st of October, we celebrate this day, we celebrate this foundation day. The function was organized yesterday on the 2nd of October. So around that this news is. But again, the question will be asked, the 8th foundation day of IBBI. IBBI is a regulatory body for this act, for insolvency bankruptcy process. This is a regulatory body. This body is headed by Ravi Mittal sir. He is the chairperson right now. It works with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, headquartered in New Delhi. There is the basic concept, there is the basic scenario which we should know about. So remember that questions will be asked in the exam around this particular part. Okay, so very easy, very straightforward. Now I'll go to the next news, and the next news which we already covered through newspaper, but few things we need to revise, and that's why I am jumping into the revision section and the revision part regarding this news. India's current account deficit increased to 1.1% of the GDP. Current account deficit. First of all, we need to talk about the CAD. CAD, current account deficit, is a concept which comes under balance of payment. So balance of payment is the concept. Balance of payment means whatever the transactions India is doing with the other countries. So what are the transactions done by the residents of our country with rest of the world is called balance of payment. So what are the foreign currencies coming to India and the currencies going out of India? That calculations comes under BOP. Now BOP consists of two things. BOP में दो चीजें आती है. One is called as a current account, another is called as the capital account. There is third thing according to IMF is called the financial account, but right now we'll not talk about the financial account, current and the capital account. Whatever the currency coming in the form of investments or going in the form of investments like FDI, FII, FPI or the borrowings, that will be the part of capital account. That will be the part of capital account. So all the investment scenario. Other than investment, import, exports, tourism, remittances, all those things will go in the category of current account. Under current account, import, export, trade plays the vital role. So very important role is played by the import and export. So if our import is more and our export is less, automatically there will be a deficit called as a current account deficit. So yes, right now import is more, export is less, and that's why we can experience the current account deficit right now, and it is 1.1% of the GDP in the present situation. So this is the number given by the government of India, given by the Commerce Ministry recently. So these are the percent wise. We'll exactly go through the amount. The current account deficit increased marginally to $9.8 billion in the quarter one of 25 from 8.9 billion year ago. So if you compare year on year, I will compare year on year comparison. So 8.9 billion was the deficit last year on the same quarter. In this quarter, the quarter first is 9.8 billion. Now one thing, अगर हम quarter wise compare करते हैं, the last quarter of 24 we were in surplus. We were in surplus in the last quarter of the 24. So last quarter we were in surplus, and now suddenly we are in deficit. So quarter wise there is a problematic situation. Year on year, if we'll compare, a small increase in current account deficit. So last quarter was very, very successful for India. We were in surplus. That was a very positive news. Merchandise trade deficit increased to 5.1 billion against the 56.7 billion. Oil and gold caused the increase in the merchandise trade. So this will be another point, because merchandise deficit is more, and especially oil and gold creates a huge problem. Whereas net service receipts increase. In a service sector, we are getting a huge receipt. In service sector, anyways, we are doing a very good job. When it comes to merchandise, our import is more, and that's the point which is mentioned here in this particular data, which is given by the government of India, given by the Commerce Ministry. They also talked about the other things. For example, primary income account outflow. They discuss about payment of investments income, foreign direct investments, exactly what was the situation in the quarter one. So all those data, even the ECB's data is also mentioned. So these are the part of capital account, which we already discussed about what is the meaning of capital account. So balance of payments, under balance of payment, what are the categories are there through which we can get the money, or the money will get out of India. All those things mentioned here on quarter basis, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. In that financial year 24, quarter four was successful for us, especially when it comes to current account. It was in surplus, but the quarter first of 25 we are in deficit, which was actually expected anyhow, but still we are in deficit, and that can be the question for the exam. One thing I want to tell you around this, there is a concept of twin deficit. There is a concept of twin deficit. So what is the meaning of twin deficit? When the situation where the fiscal deficit as well as current account deficit is increasing, that will be called as a twin deficit. So fiscal deficit is through budget. Current account deficit is about the mostly import export or the balance of trade. So if we'll compare both the deficits, or if we'll having both the deficits, then that will be called as a twin deficit concept. Yes, we are facing the twin deficit problem right now in our country, because fiscal deficit is also there as well as current account deficit is also there. But both those things are in control. Both those things are very much in our capacity. That's why the tension will not be there. We'll go to the next news, and the next news is annual survey of industries. So annual survey of industry, it is given by the Reserve Bank of India, and they talked about the gross value added in manufacturing, and now it is 7.3%. It's a positive sign. Gross value added. Okay. So gross value added means exactly what? So whenever we are including things in our manufacturing process, in our production process, that will be called as a gross value added. GDP is about the final output. GDP is always calculated depending on the final output, whereas GVA is calculated in the manufacturing or the production process. So in manufacturing production process, whatever we are going to add, that will be the part of GVA. Okay. So in GVA, it was a 7.3% increase. Now, this data is actually published by, not actually RBI took the reference of this data, but data is actually published by Ministry of Statistics with the help of Niti Aayog. They released this survey for 22-23, and recently RBI took the consideration of this survey to calculate some scenario in the futuristic angle. So, of course, Ministry of Statistics is responsible for maximum important surveys in our country, like GDP, like CPI, like we can see IIP, Index of Industrial Production, and Annual Survey of Industries. Now, Industries output for 20 to 23 increased by 21%. If GVA is increased, automatically the output will also get increased. It is usually happens when GVA is getting increased, the output will also shows the positive sign, and that we have over here in this particular report. Growth was seen in the manufacturing sector in most of the key economic parameters in 20 to 23. Now remember, the data is about 20 to 23, not 23-24. Confusion can be there. So right now the data given by Niti Aayog with the help of Ministry of Statistics program implementation is talking about 20 to 23. So parameters in which we are doing a very good job, that is invested capital, input, output, GVA, employment, and the wages. So all in these categories we are having some growth, we are having some positive news. Now we'll go first we'll go the industry wise. So industries like manufacturers of basic metals, coke, refined petroleum products, food products, chemicals, chemical products, and motor vehicles were main drivers of the growth. So these sectors were the drivers of the growth. Again, the data is about 20 to 23. The data regarding core industries, which we are going to see later on, talked about certain month, a month of August. Okay, this data is about the whole year 20 to 23. In that year, our manufacturing sector was doing very good. Okay, job, then some other sectors were also performing really well. Recently, one committee called as a Goldar committee, the Goldar committee talked about the base year 20 to 23 as the base year for GDP calculation. So 20 to 23 is anyways looks good. So it can be a good base year for which we are going to use from the Feb 2006 to 2026, which is mentioned by the Goldar committee. We'll see that news also. Anyhow, we discuss about that in our previous sessions. Now, GVA was actually Maharashtra is top with the GVA. Then Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, UP. These are the top 5 states when it comes to the GVA. When it comes to the greatest number of workers in manufacturing sector, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Gujarat, UP, and Karnataka, they are performing well. So these are some numbers over here. So a very important numbers, no doubt about that. The questions will be asked in this scenario. Now, as of Jan to July 24, US remained the India's biggest trading partner. This we already know. Even in the last fiscal year, last financial year, USA was the biggest trading partner of India. Export partner especially. If we talk about the overall trade, China is the biggest trading partner because import from China is more for us, but whereas export orientation, the USA is the biggest market for Indian stuff or Indian things. The bilateral goods trade have surpassed 7.2 billion and Indian export have grown 9.3% to 48.2 when it comes to USA. So our export is more with the USA. Okay, in this like Jan to July, if we'll see these numbers, the biggest trading partner is USA. If we'll talk about the last financial year overall, China is the biggest trading partner. Anyways, USA when it comes to export is the biggest support of India, and which is mentioned here in this particular news. Okay, that's it. That will be enough. I will go to the next news. Next news, we all discussed about this already. You might have gone through the shorts. So we'll cover this news because yesterday there was no lecture, so we need to cover this news. Government of India notifies the reconstitution of Monetary Policy Committee under the RBI Act of 1934. So section 45ZB of RBI Act of 1934 is responsible for Monetary Policy Committee. Under Monetary Policy Committee, we have the 6 members, out of which 3 members coming from RBI and 3 members are coming from the Government of India. The government members are called as the external members, and the external members are having tenure of 4 years. Earlier members were Ashima Goyal, Jayant Verma, and Shashanka Bide. Their tenure ended. Now the new members appointed by or new members decided by Government of India. So we need to discuss about their names because questions will be asked on that. So external members of Monetary Policy Committee, Nagesh Kumar, Ram Singh, and Saugata Bhattacharya. These will be the 3 new members, external members of Monetary Policy Committee. 3 internal members means coming from the RBI. Right now, Shaktikanta Das, he's a RBI governor. He will by default will be the part of Monetary Policy Committee. Then Michal Deb Patra is deputy governor of RBI. He is also the part of this group Monetary Policy Committee. And Raju Ranjan is one of the executive director of RBI. So governor, deputy governor, and one of the officer from RBI. So 3 internal members, 3 external members, they are now going to work. External members will be decided by the committee, consists of cabinet secretary, RBI governor, and economic affairs secretary. No minister will be the part of this committee. The cabinet secretary, economic affairs secretary, and the third person is RBI governor. They decides who will be the external member, and then RBI's internal member together, they are going to decide what will be the monetary policy. In the month of October, in the coming week, monetary policy committee will give what will be the repo rate in the coming time. So remember that will play a very, very crucial role. So that is the case. When it comes to monetary policy committee, it will be always chaired by the governor of RBI. 6 members are there. They are going to vote. Whatever the decision this committee is going to take, it will be by voting. Suppose, for example, internal member voted in one angle and external member voted in another angle. There will be a kind of a deadlock. In that situation of deadlock, RBI governor or the chairperson of monetary policy committee can vote for the second time. So chairperson of monetary policy committee is having power of voting for the second time. Now, usually you cannot see the deadlock. They are usually taking the decision with a full majority. But suppose in case deadlock is there, the 3 external members and 3 internal members having different point of view, then the chairperson of the RBI, chairperson of the monetary policy committee can vote for the second time, and whatever they are going to decide, that will be the final decision. After every second month, we are presenting monetary policy. So it's a bi-monthly affair in India. Section 45 ZB of RBI Act of 1934 is responsible for this. So remember, many questions will be asked around this particular part. Okay. PMI manufacturing declined to 56.5% in September. PMI is going down month on month, especially for the manufacturing sector. PMI, Purchasing Managers Index. Right now we are using HSBC's PMI. So according to HSBC's PMI, Purchasing Managers Index, it is going down. So the third month in a row, the output and the sell growth rates have decreased. Third month in a row. It is a very bad situation. If the PMI of the country is going down, which shows that manufacturing sector is in trouble, and it's 3 months in a row, means almost a quarter. We need to take a huge efforts for that. Otherwise, if it will be same, we can go below 50. If we go below 50, it's a very bad situation, because according to PMI, the scale is like 50 is the middle number. If it is more than 50, it's a good sign. If it is less than 50, it's a bad sign. So we are coming down and down. It's 56.5% now. Earlier it was 57.5%. So 1% का यहाँ पे difference आपको दिखाई देगा, which is a bad situation. So hope so the things will work properly. Again, this data is a private data, but used by Government of India in many calculations. So that's why important for us. This is a simple news, but this news is going to be very huge for the economy, and that's why we are covering this. The launch of Cruise Bharat mission. Recently, Port Shipping and Waterway Minister Sarbanand Sonowal launched one policy called as the Cruise Bharat mission. So cruise tourism should get increased. It's a part of blue economy. Blue economy, the economic activities depending on the ocean or the sea is called blue economy, like fisheries, like extraction or excavation of the minerals from the sea bed, or the oil business, or the import export. Same way, the tourism, the cruise business is also very important. So for the blue economist point of view, we have the target that double the number of passengers on cruise ships by 2029. That is a focus. So we are focusing on the ocean cruise, as well as the island oriented cruise, or the inland waterway cruise. So 3 cruise, under 3 parts we are implementing this policy. First, ocean. Normally from ocean area you can go and come back, so that can be the another tourism part. Second is island. We have the Andaman Nicobar, Lakshadweep, so we can focus on the island cruise tourism, as well as inland waterways through through rivers as well as the canals. That can be the focus also. So in this 3 angle we are going to implement this. In Mumbai Port, it was launched by the Port and Shipping Waterway Minister, and 2029 is a target year through which or till which we are going to double the business under the cruise tourism. So that is a Cruise Bharat mission. That's it. Another government scheme which was launched recently, and the scheme is called as a PM-E drive for electric vehicles. PM-E drive. This scheme was announced in the month of September by the cabinet, but officially launched day before yesterday by the heavy industry minister. His name is HD Kumaraswamy. He launched. So what exactly this scheme is, we'll talk about that because the questions will be asked. The scheme was officially accepted by the cabinet on 11th of September, but launched day before yesterday by the heavy industry ministry. So ministry is very clear. Second, PM-E drive, electric drive revolution in innovative vehicle enhancement is the name of the scheme. So first question can be asked on the full form. Second, for 2 years. This scheme is for 2 years only, and 10,900 crore is the budget outlay. So budget outlay of 10,900 crore. The scheme will be implemented for 2 years. The next thing which is important, subsidies or the incentives will be provided. Subsidies and incentives will be provided under this particular scheme. The subsidy and incentives on electric vehicles, two-wheeler electric vehicles, three-wheeler electric vehicles, ambulances and the trucks. Four-wheeler electric vehicles is not the part of this as an incentive or subsidy. But yes, whenever we are going to launch the charging infrastructure, for charging infrastructure, four-wheeler charging infrastructure is already mentioned, but subsidies and incentives will be focusing on this. We already have one scheme called as a FAME, faster adoption of manufacturing electric vehicles. FAME scheme is already there, but FAME scheme is focusing mostly on the manufacturing side of these electric vehicles. This scheme is focusing on the purchasing side of the electric vehicle, the subsidies for that. We are also having a separate budget of 500 crore out of this 10,900 for ambulances. So 500 crore kept separately only on the ambulances by the government of India. So question definitely will be asked, and this scheme is launched by Heavy Industry Ministry officially in New Delhi. I will go to the next. We need to skip that part. Okay, I will cover that news in later phase. Consumer Price Index for industrial worker. Now CPI-IW is given by Labor Ministry. Labor Ministry gives this data, CPI, Consumer Price Index for industrial worker. Normally CPI combined is given by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, which is used as headline inflation of the country. But CPI-IW is given by the Labor Ministry, Labor Bureau specifically, and this data is used to calculate the salaries or the dearance allowances for the government servants or for any other people working in this country. So for the salaries or for the dearance allowances, we use this data called as a CPI industrial worker. So if you see month on month, in the month of July, it was 142.7. In the month of August, little bit less, 142.6. So thoda bahut kam hai CPI for industrial worker. CPI industrial worker consists of food and beverage, pan, supari, tobacco, intoxicants, clothing, footwear, housing, fuel and light, and miscellaneous. So these are the categories. These are the total 6 categories. In these 6 categories, we calculate CPI for industrial worker, and then overall numbers are here: 142.7 for the month of July, 142.6 for the month of August. September number is not there. September number will come in the month of November. There is a gap of 1 month in this calculation. Again, it is given by the Labor Ministry, Labor Bureau specifically, and used to calculate the dearance allowances. That's it from this particular news. Yes, anti-dumping investigation initiated by India on the steel import from China. We are imposing anti-dumping duty when some other country is selling or some other country is exporting cheaper goods to destroy the local business. Suppose China selling their steel in a very cheaper rate, and it is creating impact on the Indian domestic production or Indian industries. They are going to destroy the Indian industry. If we feel so, that time we can impose taxes on the Chinese import. So we are doing the same thing. So we are now under investigation because many Indian manufacturing companies, steel oriented companies, they are saying that Chinese steel is having a very cheap cost very cheap cost, बहुत सस्ता है, and due to that Indian steel's demand is going down. If there is no demand for Indian steel, automatically the business will go bankrupt and there will be more unemployment in the country. To stop such kind of problems, we need to impose a short-term taxes, short-term duties on certain import rather than banning them. शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए हम टैक्सेस लगाते हैं एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ एंटी डंपिंग ड्यूटी. सो ऑलरेडी डिस्कशन इज बीइंग स्टार्टेड, इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज बीइंग स्टार्टेड नाउ. डायरेक्टरेट ऑफ जनरल ऑफ फॉरेन ट्रेड इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर दिस इन्वेस्टिगेशंस. टैक्सेस लगाना है कि नहीं लगाना, एंटी डंपिंग ड्यूटी इंप्लीमेंट करनी कि नहीं करनी, इट इज ऑल डिपेंडिंग ऑन दी finance ministry. So two ministries are there, one is a commerce ministry and another will be the finance ministry because taxes comes under their ministry. So that's all about the anti-dumping duty. Is a protectionist tariff that a country uses to protect domestic industries from the cheaper foreign goods. Like I have mentioned, to protect Indian industry from the cheap import, we need to implement or we are implementing such kind of taxes, which is really very important. That's it. Now we talked about this a little bit minutes ago. So new GDP base year will be 20 to 23. This base year will be implemented from the year Feb 26. From here we are going to implement the new base year. Till that time the base year will be 11-12 only for GDP calculation. This recommendation is given by Vishwanath Goldar committee. Remember, this question definitely will be asked. Ministry of Statistics Program Implementation created this committee. They gave the recommendation and recommendation accepted by the government of India. So from the Feb 26, the new base year will be 20 to 23 for the country. That will be the case. Daily UPI limit. Okay, it's very easy news. It's not that important, by the way, for the exam point of view, because it is coming on monthly basis. UPI, which is created by National Payment Corporation of India in 2016. So if we'll talk about the UPI transactions in the month of September, 150 million UPI transactions happened in the month of September. So FASTag, Aadhaar enabled payment system, IMPS, all the transactions are given. But I will suggest don't read, means you can read this news once, but don't give that much importance to it right now. When exams will come nearby, then we'll focus on these news. This is important. India is the second best global market in first half of the financial year 25 behind Hong Kong. So after Hong Kong, India is the second best performing market. Means we are talking about the stock exchange or the share market. So after Hong Kong, we are at the second number, which perform really very well. So it shows foreign investors can get attracted towards Indian market, because globally, if we'll talk globally, so after Hong Kong's Hang Seng market, India's NSE and BSE, they perform really very well. Second number is a big thing. It's not like a very aisa hi wala news. It's a very big news. Again, it's a year-on-year performance. If we'll talk about valuation, still USA is at the top. Still, obviously, China is doing a very good job. But if we'll talk about the performance-wise, in the first half, India did a very good job after the Hong Kong. The 17.5% for the Hong Kong, and obviously India is just behind it on like near about the 16%, and that's the case regarding this particular news. That's it, guys. I will stop here. Tomorrow's session will start with MCQs on the same news. What are the news we have discussed today? We'll start with the revision MCQs and then we'll jump into the rest of the news part. So be there tomorrow. We'll see you at exactly 9 o'clock for 30 minutes. This session is for 30 minutes where we are covering most important updates from the economics, banking as well as the financial sector. Okay, that's it, guys. Bye bye. Take care. Safe रहिए, सुरक्षित रहिए और पढ़ते रहिएगा. Bye.